This project has reached a big personal milestone for me. I have reached my second bin. As in, I store my loose Famicom carts chronologically in these plastic bins, and I have reached the second one. The first game from bin 2 is Choujikuu Yousai Macross, or Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, to use its official English title. If you're not familiar with Macross, are you sure you're watching the right channel? But to give it the 10-second summary, it's one of the two giant franchises of robot space wars. Macross is the one that has the spaceships turn into robots. And given that theme, it's only natural that this game would be a shoot-'em-up. Unfortunately, it's a very basic, not very interesting shoot-'em-up. Namco made this one, but it feels like it was handed off to their B team and told them they had to ship in 2 weeks. Every stage is exactly the same. You start out in space, shoot your way through the Zentradi forces to reach a battleship. You then fly into the battleship where you have a limited time to reach the, I guess there's a core, and then you shoot out the 2 rows of balls to blow up the battleship from within. There are 6, I guess, kind of levels before it loops. The only difference between the levels, though, is that they add a few more enemies. You have a health bar for this one. Your Veritech fighter has a health meter, and you can recover life by picking up these P-balls. You can shoot the P-balls to knock them back, but that's the only effect shooting them has. You can also find a B-ball for bonus points, an E-ball for an extra life, and an M-ball which gives you 6 missile refills. The missiles were one of the more distinctive things in the cartoons, and the game kind of replicates it. You fire the missiles by pressing select, and a big array of homing missiles flies out of your ship. You get some extra when you die, and the missile pickups give you a ton of them, so if you don't use them for the first few stages, you can build up a huge stockpile. The other distinctive thing about Macross is how the Veritech fighters have 3 different transformation modes. You can choose what mode you're using by holding down A and pressing a direction. Pressing right turns you into fighter mode, pressing up puts you in Gerwalk mode, and pressing left puts you in Batroid mode. To the game's credit, it does make all 3 modes feel distinctive. The fighter has the highest forward movement speed, but it isn't very maneuverable going up and down, and it doesn't have auto-fire for the main cannon. Gerwalk mode gives you a bit more maneuverability and an auto-fire gun, but you slow down. Batroid mode has the highest maneuverability, while having the slowest forward movement. However, Batroid mode can also turn around and shoot behind it. Unfortunately, this whole setup means that you almost always want to just remain in fighter mode. You're on a pretty tight time limit in the Zentradi battleship, so you have to fly fast to get there. Enemies never come at you from behind, so turning around is only useful in a handful of situations. The best thing to do is just stay in fighter until you get to the core, then turn to Gerwalk so that you can use the rapid fire and higher maneuverability to dodge the shots. I think what they were envisioning for the game was that players would transform between different modes constantly, but there's no pressing need to do that. You can dodge well enough in the fighter, and the additional forward speed is always worth it. The music's always a big part of Macross, and it's something that the game does decently, but not quite perfectly. There's only one song in the game. It's a solid rendition of the song, but you're just going to be hearing it on loop over and over again. Could be worse, I suppose. Could be My Boyfriend is a Pilot. This was the only Macross game made for the Famicom. Not really a surprise given that the show had aired in 1982, and it'd be a few years before they did anything else with the property. But the game itself is an exercise in tedium. It reflects its license well, but then didn't build stages or gameplay that used the mechanics that it created. You can find copies for 100 yen without too much difficulty, and that's really what it's worth. You can play this game for about 10 minutes and then go, okay, I'm done with it and I don't need to play it anymore.